it's a mess for us. We need long-term thinking as a country. Even as businesses, we need long-term thinking. The moment you start thinking so short-term, then you deny yourself the opportunity to grow meaningfully.
Yeah.
We need to be able to catch on with certain trends and, okay, is that what we're doing? Then let's complete the projects and let's see things through to the end. Even if I'm not the one who had the idea, even if I'm not the one who started it, I can be the one who finishes it.
You never truly know people until you take the time out to get to know people. Those 20 years that Rina has been in the industry, there's a lot that has happened. Some that she's spoken about, some that she's not. You have done your time, Rina. When I call you an authority within the conversation around money, and that is wide, from savings, investment, and a whole bunch of other things that you're going to talk about, I say it because you truly are. And I truly am honored that you would give this chair, give us the time to share your life story. And for that, may God bless you. May God continue to affirm you. May God continue to protect you from the evil one. Let's continue with this story. Where we left it off, you're about to meet your hubby, and you met him and I like how what you did by mentioning Michael and Paul Oyera.
Peter and Paul.
Peter and Paul.
Michael is part of the family.
Yeah. For just the impact that they've had.
Yeah.
A lot of people stand on their shoulders. I like saying, there's a rap I had that says, potholes filled up by those who came before me. Mentor, big brother, man, props to Kanji, because Kanji filled up the potholes for me in the music industry. You and all these greats who are with you at that time, including your hubby, were the ones who are filling up the potholes for people like Crazy Kena and a whole bunch of others who are now in this theater world. Those numbers are not just coming into those places. And it's important that this generation understands that people toiled for them to do what it is that they're doing now. So yeah, let's continue this conversation. You and him start calling and having conversations. How does it go?
Yeah.
At this time you're at Mavuno.
Yes. Was I?
When you came back from Australia, what church did you do?
So Regis Baptist Church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Mavuno came later. Kanji is my very good friend. And
Regis Baptist as well.
Regis Baptist as well. And so he moved from Regis Baptist to Mavuno. And he was like, Rina, you need to come to this church. And I'm like, what church is that? Just come. And he kept saying, just come. And so I eventually did. And I went into Mavuno. It was like church like I had never experienced before. It was so... whoa, after traditional sort of church, it was the church for the unchurched. And so it was so much fun. It was filled with many young people, and the sermons were really relatable. And I just was so excited about this church. I got everyone that I could to know about Mavuno. Come to church, let's go to church. So I started going to church, but...
here's a photo of me and you, service leading.
Okay.
You see that skinny looking guy? That's where I got to meet you.
Yes, that's where we met at Mavuno. Yeah, so got to Mavuno a little later. That was 2008, I think. That's when I started going to Mavuno.
Okay, so let's then go back. Okay, Alan.
Yeah, so met Alan in St. Mary's, but didn't really interact really well until Sterling Q after university. And then after Rwanda, just sort of hung out a lot and got to know each other. My friends used to ask me, in June, he said, and then eventually started dating. And then 4.5 years later is when we got married.
Oh.
It took a while. And I remember it was 4 years in, it was 4 years in. And I was just like, by the way, this guy, it's taking long.
So were you feeling that pressure? Was now okay,
it wasn't pressure. It was, what are we doing? Like, I mean, see, we like each other, yes. Does he tick the boxes? He does. So what's the problem? And I remember getting to the place where I was now getting frustrated. I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm getting older. I think I had just celebrated my 30th birthday. And I was like, this thing doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Because it was over 4 years. And I remember writing to a friend of mine. She was in the US at the time, one of my other best friends. And I said, don't call me after this. Don't write to me. But if by 5th October of this year, this guy has not proposed, I'm done. And I told her, I remember I cried after that email and I clicked send. And then I was like, so I've made a decision. In August of that year, Alan proposed. But I'm not those mamas who'll be like, when are we getting married? When are you proposing? No.
So, but what is it? I do understand. I understand it from a guy's perspective, of course, because I'm a guy.
Yeah.
But from a lady's perspective, what is it? Is this guy, is it, I don't call it biological clock, but is it the biological clock? Is it,
no, I mean,
I'm ready to settle down?
I think I was ready.
Oh, you were ready?
Yeah, I was ready. And I think when I was younger, there's a gentleman who I really admired at our church. He was the chairman of our church. And I walked up to him and I said, look, I would like to have a conversation with you. When can I come to your home for tea? I was in my early 20s. I had just come back from uni and he said, oh, come anytime and whatever. And I said, okay. So he told me, he gave me a date and I went. His wife made us tea and I sat with him and I just asked him, it would just help me understand, how do you run your life? You're successful as a parent. Your kids are amazing. His kids were like my age. He was successful at his job. He had run a foundation that was doing really well. Like his marriage seemed to be working. Well, this is what I could see from outside.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to know a few things from him. So I basically was interviewing him in his living room.
Yeah.
And he said to me something that was so powerful. And he said to me, first of all, one of the things that I do is I take time every 3 months to review my life. And I sit down and I have these 5 pillars of my life. And he told me I have my marriage, I have my family, which is my kids, I have my, marriage and family could be together, I can't remember, quite remember, but he said he has his career, he has intellectual growth, and his spirituality and God in there as well. And he's like, every time he goes out, every 3 months, to have a personal retreat alone, he reviews those things of his life. And then he said, one of the other things that he has is a timeline. And he said, when you go back home, I want you to do something. Now you're 24. I want you to draw a timeline to the age of 80 and in intervals of 4 years. What do you want to see at 28? What do you want to see at 32? What do you want to see? Like that, yeah? All the way to 80. And so as I did that timeline, I made a decision about some of the things that I wanted to do. And it's been so interesting to see the power of putting a pen down to write something down.
Write down
and the power of visualization, right? And marriage was a part of that because marriage was important to me. And I remember thinking, I want to be married at 30. So the pressure wasn't from society.
I get it.
It was me who wanted, and I knew by 28, this is what I'm doing. By 32, I have a baby. I wrote that, yeah? And so if I'm 32, this guy's, I'm 30 now. By the time I meet someone else, oh my gosh, I have 2 years to have a baby. It was just, that's what I wanted. So the pressure that I felt was, it's been 4 years. If I'm not the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life, imagine, let me just go and start this story again with someone else. I even thought, okay, maybe I should even just go do my master's in the US or something. But let me tell you.
Did he ever tell you why he took 4 years?
I think he needed to be ready.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if there's one man who I truly, truly respect, it is Alan. Like, honestly. Of course, aside from my father. He was the only man that I knew who wanted to know me without touching me. You understand what I'm saying? You don't. Dudes all through. Yeah. It's for, where do I, it's like, they're like hyenas. Like, honestly. But this guy was so different from every single other dude I had gotten to know. He wasn't manipulative. He would say the truth. The other day I was looking at some conversation between some teens and I'm just like, oh my God, men, boys are such liars. Why do you do this? You just lie. Richie, if you have a son in the future, please mentor him, right? Anyway, so he was one of the, actually, honestly, the only man who just wanted to know me for me.
You were pure before marriage.
I was.
That was rare.
Yes.
That was rare and that still is rare.
Yes.
And hopefully we get to hear more stories. In fact, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So I when I look back now, I really appreciate it. I think also he needed to know for sure for himself. Anyway, so he eventually proposed and we got married.
Okay. That's why we're giving a clap to the guy. We know. we can imagine. And also you are so again, during a career of my life at FOAP, I've gotten to work with a lot of strong personality, type A, high achieving women.
Okay.
So Mulinge, Caroline Mutoko, yourself, and a whole bunch of others that I can't even name. There's, I don't want to say that they are rare, but I want to also say that it takes a different kind of man to be able to be with a woman like that, who's very high achieving. You get at a very young age. I mean, at 28, have you heard the story that you told us? who was in that thing? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I say that to say that Rina, you were doing things, moving and shaking. You are selling Q, but then you've got 2 other jobs that you are handling. You've already set up this business. You've already got, you are achieving a lot. So when I clap for him, it's to still treat you right and to, for that marriage to still be going on.
I thank God. I think he's very solid. He's very solid as a man. And yeah, I think the presence of God in his life.
Yeah, that's like kind of
He just, he knows who he is. He knows what he's about. Yeah, so that helps.
Okay. So again, I'm going to keep going back to this career that you work. So when you're now in these 4 years, when did you get married? What year?
2008.
2008. So at that time now, have you gone fully into Faida?
I was in Faida from 2003.
Full time?
Full time.
Full time, huh? Because of course after the Sterling Q dropped, that was a box that you ticked in.
So Sterling Q lasted quite a number of years, by the way.
No, I mean, sorry, after Rwanda. That was
Yes. After Rwanda, I was like, I think I'm done.
You're done with the creative, eh?
Not with the creative. I think I was just done with
Theatre.
the long nights. It was getting hectic at work as well. You know, IPOs started to come. IPOs, initial public offers, where companies would issue their shares for the very first time. We had Kenyan in 2006. And it was like, oh my gosh, we were spending nights in the office. So work also started to get really busy.
Who was doing what you guys were doing in terms of IPO, in terms of, who are your competitors? There
were many. I mean, we had Dine Blair, we had Standard Investment Bank, we had Sterling Capital for a season. They closed and then came back. We had Francis Drummond. There were many. And there was another one called Solid Investments, which became, I think, NIC, then became NCBA.
Yeah.
So there were many. There were many.
Okay. And in terms of advancing your intellectual, I had you say you did your CFA.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was an interesting season of my life.
And what year was this? Is it still before?
It was
after marriage or before?
After marriage.
Oh, after marriage, eh?
It was before.
Yeah.
It was before. It was before marriage. So before I got married, actually that's why I left Sterling Q, I've remembered. Now I went back to school as well. And so did my CFA level 1. So it's a chartered financial analyst program that ends up giving you a designation and it's the distinguished designation for those in the finance and financial analysis portfolio management industry.
Okay, so it's not a requirement?
It's not a requirement.
Oh, okay.
However, for certain jobs, they look for CFA charter holders to act in certain positions.
Okay.
You know, so as a business that is in maybe private equity, perhaps certain types of corporate finance advisory businesses, you need a CFA charter holder as an analyst. So there's certain spaces where you need a CFA charter holder. And I was like, again, that whole thing of being the best that you can be in what it is that you do, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the best that I can be in this career that I had chosen, and that was a path that was a natural path for me at that time that I saw that, you know, doing a CFA would be the thing. So I started, I did my level 1, it was fine, it was really tough. My social life again died. And I guess that also contributed to the delay in Alan and I getting to, you know each other really well, because I'd be busy studying.
It's demanding.
It's very demanding. It's very demanding. So I did CFA level 1, it was fine. Did CFA level 2. Studied really hard. Took a month off work to just study. And then I failed.
Oh.
I was like, ish. Then we only have one exam a year here in Kenya. Okay, at that time. I don't know about now. One exam a year. So I was like, okay. People fail. Some people take 8 years to get their charter. So let me do it again. Year number 2. Study. Took a month off the last month before the exam. And I failed. Again.
Wow.
Richie. Like, I don't fail. I'm not a failure. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hey.
Must have been hard.
And I said, okay, I can do this. And I did it again. And one particular subject, I just missed by a few, like, it was like a dot. And that particular subject is a compulsory one to pass. And I did a 3rd time, and I failed. Do you know, I didn't come out from my room for 3 days.
Wow.
My father came, opened my curtains, and said, what is it? Get out. Can you get up? Life doesn't begin and end in an exam, eh? Get out of your bed. I was depressed.
Yo.
Because I'm like, what am I good for? I can't do this thing. Huh? Hey. Anyway.
No.
Oh, Lord. I know, given the industry I'm in, there's this way we carry ourselves. We need to be able to, how can you feel that exam? There's so many people who've come and done it and passed. Anyway, so I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be the CFA charter holder. I will employ a CFA charter holder.
I love it.
And I said, it's fine. It is okay. It is fine.
Listen, I am the A student.
No,
but I'll employ the
I'll
A
employ
student.
the A student. It is okay. So anyways, my mom made a joke the other day. So I had a brother who's my cousin, but that's another part of another story, who was murdered last year.
Yeah,
and my mom said, during one of the meetings that she had never found or ever seen a smart child like that one. Even her children, there's no one. He used to get A stars in everything, eh?
What?
Everything. So I wasn't top of my class. I was an average-ish, but upper average.
Yeah.
But I didn't fail, Richie. Like, I never failed. Anyway, so CFA taught me you can fail. And it was very humbling. But I also realized life is not about theories and academics. It's about wisdom, applied knowledge. Yeah, it's about wisdom.
Yeah,
it's also about being able to be very practical in making choices and decisions. And do you know that failure that I have had is what has made me sensitive about explaining financial concepts in simple language, using examples.
Yep.
Because I know what it means to be told something in a jargon way and be like, what did you just say? And I'm like, okay. So I'm able to then explain concepts simply so that guys can understand. So there was a positive element about it.
Yep.
But it still gives me a chip on my shoulder.
Let me ask this question.
Yeah.
With money, I think about Julian Kuehler's CTA that I had, and he explained how the 2008 was the global recession, as well as our post-election violence, the double whammy, as he calls it, double blow, and how it turned his life around. It really negatively affected him. Later on, that became a positive. In the industry that you work, how did it affect the company that you are working for? What did that mean?
So, we've had lots of cycles in our industry.
Okay.
And I've been there for a long time. 2002, I think, was one of the worst. So when 2008 was coming around, we had already seen...
2002 was the worst.
Yeah.
When we're having a change of regime.
Yes.
So change of regime always affects.
2001, I think, was the worst. And then every time we have a change of regime, there's a problem. In fact, in the investment industry in Kenya,
So when people
we
buy.
are in cycles of 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that disgusting and
It's very
horrible?
sad. It's very sad, but it's not unique to Kenya. It's
Okay.
most emerging markets. Why? Because you have leaders who come with their own priorities, with their own, so we're going in a certain direction. The theme is infrastructure. Then someone else comes in and, no, scrap that. The theme is now agribusiness. No, scrap that. Now it's going to be housing. Oh, no, scrap that. Now it's going to be, oh my gosh. 5 years is such a short time. And it's not 5 years because it takes them a year to settle in. And then the next 3 to put in place this thing. And then the last year they're politicking. So it's a mess for us. We need long-term thinking as a country. Even as businesses, we need long-term thinking. The moment you start thinking so short-term, then you deny yourself the opportunity to grow meaningfully.
Yeah.
We need to be able to catch on with certain trends and, okay, is that what we're doing? Then let's complete the projects and let's see things through to the end. Even if I'm not the one who had the idea, even if I'm not the one who started it, I can be the one who finishes it. Like the Bible says, Apollos did what? Planted. Someone else came and watered, and someone else will come and reap.
Yep.
Right? And that's how we need to think. 40 years, 100 years.
It was Vision 2030. It wasn't Vision.
Yes, it was Vision 2030. But was it really Vision 2030? Anyway. The concept was fantastic, except that with changes in regimes, then...
So what advice would you have for individuals to cushion themselves, to not get panicked? What are some of the things that, for example, you as an organization do to give investors, because you're handling money, you're handling people's, and money sounds like money. You're handling people's livelihoods. With what advice would you give people?
Investors, or what do you mean?
Yes, investors. Like, for example, let's say I've invested my money and I know elections are coming up. What kind of advice do you do to just give us peace? Or what are the kind of advice that you have given people? I hope, are you getting the question I'm getting?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. So let me try to answer your question. I think